Hello. The Divine Code reading for October 2nd, pages 233 and 234. We're in the chapter Objects Offered to Idols and Decorations of Idols. Topic number 17. It has been previously explained in chapter 7 that an actual idol and items used for its service or offered to it are forbidden to preserve, and there is an obligation to destroy them or nullify them so that there remains nothing left of idol worship or anything associated with it. If its decorations or items offered to it become mixed with other indistinguishable items of the same type that are permitted, the forbidden items can become nullified in the majority of permitted items. So we learned earlier that if you have a batch of idols, let's say statues of frogs, and they got mixed in with a batch of little figurines that are playing gardens of frogs. And you can't tell one frog from the other because they all look the same. The ones that are made for decorations for gardens and the ones that were used in idolatry, they look the same. That nullifies the mixture. And similarly, the decorations in that we're talking about now, or items offered to the idols, could become nullified within the mix, a similar mixture. If you had a bunch of flowers that were offered to the idol, either as an offering or as a decoration, got mixed in with a bunch of flowers that are just from the floral shop, that are just common flowers, and you can't tell one from the other, it would get nullified in a similar manner. How does this rule work for a mixture of offered items? If pieces of offered meat became mixed with pieces of non-offered meat, or if libation wine that was poured for an idol became mixed with regular wine, the mixture is permitted if there is a majority of permitted substance. This is clear from Tosafot. And Rosh, and Beit Yosef, Yeridea, chapter 139. It seems to be Tosafot on Avodah Zarah 50. However, even though the ruling is that for a Jew, an offered item cannot become nullified, and therefore even if the forbidden item was mixed in with 1,000 times the amount of permitted items, it is all forbidden. For a Gentile, the rule for an offered item is like that of all other items. An offered item is like that for all other items, and the vessels used to serve them, which is that they can be nullified. So for the Jew, it would not be possible to nullify it. And if it got mixed together, it might be necessary to destroy all of the mixture. For a non-Jew, it can become nullified in a mixture. Items can become nullified. Furthermore, in a mixture, they are nullified to the majority, since the Torah law itself, anything that can be nullified in a majority, as implied in Tractate of Avodah Zarah 73b, that from Torah law, even wine poured to an idol can be nullified in the majority. The stringency that the sages added on the use of such mixture to the Jews do not apply to Gentiles. So the ruling for Jews is a stringency. The sages did this as an extra measure. And when the rabbis of old gave a extra stringency for the Jews, an extra fence, the Gentiles are not automatically required to follow that. The Gentiles automatically are required to follow the basic Torah halakha. So the basic Torah halakha is that it can be nullified. The rabbi said that for a Jew it should not be possible to nullify. We have to absolutely not have it. So there's a difference there between the Jew and the non-Jew regarding this. See Tractate of Avodah Zarah 52b and Rambam, Laws of the Sources of Ritual Impurity, chapter 6, that in regard to the ritual impurity of idols, the ruling is that an offered vessel becomes nullified even within a mixture of identical vessels. This is even possibly the case, although it is unclear, in regard to offered food. For this, it can be deduced that nullification is effective even for an offered item. For if Torah law itself would not allow it, there would be no leniency even for the ritual impurity of idols, which is a rabbinic ruling. So there's an understanding that the idols and that have a ritual impurity to it, and the offered food and the offered items have ritual impurity to it. That doesn't necessarily affect the non-Jew the way it affects the Jew. So the rabbis created this extra stringency for the sake of the Jew. It would not, the logical reason for it, of ritual impurity, would not have an effect on the non-Jew, and therefore it would not be relevant. Therefore, it's possible for the non-Jew. See, if there's a mixture of items and it's nullified, there's still going to be items in there that have this ritual impurity. The ritual impurity would not be nullified, and therefore the inadvertent use of an idol, what used to be an idol, would still have an effect on the Jew, but it would not affect the non-Jew. However, one should dispose of an addition of an amount of the mixture equal to the amount of the forbidden pieces of meat, or the volume of forbidden wine, which existed before it was mixed with the permitted meat or wine. In this way, one forgoes the amount of benefit he would have had from the original amount of the forbidden substance. So in the case of meat and wine, which was mentioned earlier in the footnote, that it's unclear. It's being stated, but in the divine code, that they're going with a stringent view. Because it's unclear, they're going with a stringent view regarding this. It's not a penalty case. It's not something that would go in front of the court, where typically we go with a lenient view, but it's rather, how do I deal with life issue, and therefore they're taking a more stringent view in the divine code. Why, in regard to the nullification of statues or their vessels in a mixture, is the ruling that the entire mixture is permitted, as explained in topic 7, chapter 7, topic 12. But for a mixture of offered items with an indistinguishable permitted substance, one must dispose of the amount of the mixture that is equal to the original amount of the forbidden substance. So if you have 2/3 of the bag has the idolatrous frogs statues. No, I'm sorry. 2/3 of the bag has the garden decorative, non-idolatrous frog statues, and 1/3 is the idolatrous frog statues, the entire mixture would become permitted. But in the case of meat, wine, and also it's going to mention incense, it does not, even though it becomes permitted, the mixture would become permitted if the majority is non-idolatrous permitted items. Why would they require the idolatrous proportion to be destroyed? So in other words, you have 2/3 of meat that came from the butcher shop. It's just regular meat. 1/3 came from the idol, which is stuff that was offered to the idol. It got mixed together inadvertently, and even though the mixture now is permitted, they're saying to get rid of 1/3 of the mixture. But we don't know which of the mixture is the idolatrous and which of the mixture is the non-idolatrous. We're still getting rid of the amount. Why is that? Is the question. Incense that became forbidden might come to be mixed with permitted incense if the forbidden incense has been partially burnt and that it is extinguished on its own. See topic chapter 9, topic 7, and footnote 280 there. That incense does not become an offering that is forbidden for benefit until it is actually burned in service of the idol, but is only placed before the idol without burning. It is permitted to benefit from. The mixture then becomes subject to the same rules as nullification for forbidden meat in a mixture explained above, because of the physical benefit from the added forbidden incense. On the other hand, if the idol worshiper puts out the burned incense, that is an act of nullifying it. See topic 12 above regarding candles, unless it is specifically the ritual of the idol's worship, only to partially burn the incense. Okay, so incense is also included with meat and wine in this question. But why is it necessary to get rid of the proportion? You know, the person would have to take the bag, and but 2/3 would be okay, and 1/3 he would have to destroy. Why is that? This is because eating food is a pleasure for the body, and the person will also have a pleasure for making use of some of the forbidden substance that is mixed in. So because it becomes a pleasure for the body, the person ingests it, and it becomes part of the person, and he has joy with it. And that would also be with the wine, and it would also be with the incense. If he burns the incense, he's going to derive pleasure from it. Therefore, the mixing is not a true nullification unless one removes the amount of the mixture that is equal to the amount of forbidden substance present in the mixture. Consequently, the person will effectively not have any additional benefit from the forbidden substance. So there's something different about these items that become a pleasure for the person, more so than, let's say, vessels, a bunch of cups or something, or having a bunch of frog statues in the garden. There's a different level of pleasure that comes from meat, wine, and incense that can draw a person towards idolatry. It's not clear the way it's being explained here if this is a rabbinic fence that has a logical reason to it, as opposed to a rabbinic fence regarding before was for the Jew, the rabbinic fence is the concern over impurity, which does not apply to the Gentile. But the concern regarding pleasure does apply to the Gentile. The pleasure that might draw a person to think, wow, that idolatry is so nice. The person might actually think that while they're eating the meat, or while they're drinking the wine, or while they're smelling incense, and therefore there should be a greater level of separation from the substance. but not necessarily that he has to destroy all of it, but he has to destroy enough of it that he, in his mind, he's no longer benefiting from, in a roundabout way, he's not benefiting from the incense, from the idol. The incense is no longer connected with the idolatry after he's destroyed that portion of it. If offered meat or wine became mixed with an unlike items, such as offered meat that became mixed with vegetables, or offered wine that became mixed with water in a cooked dish, if the substance of the forbidden item is still recognizable, one may not eat from the whole mixture. If only the taste is recognizable, it is permitted to eat the whole mixture. So if meat stock got mixed in, or the meat was on such a soft level that it kind of blended in, meat marrow or something, it got blended in with the substance. Or if the wine, I'm not sure about being mixed with water, but if the wine can be drained out, it's better to drain out the wine. If the meat can be picked out, it's better to pick out, you got to pick out the meat. But if it was mixed in and the flavors got blended together, we're not concerned about that. So it's the cleaning up the mixture. If it's possible to clean up the mixture, that's what you got to do. If it's been mixed together in a way that it's indistinguishable, then it's not a concern. It can just be, you just take out the portion that's equivalent, and then the mixture is permitted. This is clear based on Yoreh De'ah, chapter 98, that with unlike items, which whenever the forbidden item can be distinguished, it cannot be nullified in the mixture. And this is a Torah prohibition, as explained by Rambam, The Laws of Forbidden Foods, chapter 15. However, if one can only taste the forbidden item, Rambam is of the opinion that the mixture is not forbidden from Torah law itself. And furthermore, it is explained below in part 4, chapter 6, that the rabbinic ruling that the taste of a forbidden substance renders the entire mixture forbidden to eat was not extended to Gentiles. And that's regarding the prohibition of the limb of a living animal. It's the flavor is important in Jewish halakha, but a lot of that's rabbinic fences that do not directly apply to the Gentiles. Although in some cases it can be taken on for piety purposes, but it's not part of the basic halakha. Thank you.